Bei unserem Plenum 5 am 7. Mai 2020 haben wir live mit Menschen in anderen europäischen Städten über die Wahrnehmung und die Entwicklung der Flussufer dort gesprochen. Dabei hat uns interessiert, welche Rolle die Flüsse andernorts für die Stadt und Region spielen und welche Inspiration uns die dort durchgeführten Projekte geben können. Bei der Betrachtung des Umgangs mit dem Fluss in anderen europäischen Städten, da fällt eines besonders auf, egal welcher Breitengrad, welches Klima, welcher kulturelle oder historische Hintergrund, es scheint ein übergeordnetes Bedürfnis zu geben, die Ufer der Flüsse zu öffnen und sie zu zugänglichen Aufenthalts- und Erholungsflächen für die Bevölkerung zu gestalten. Die Menschen wollen einen Fluss in den allermeisten Städten und Regionen. Wir schauen nun noch einmal gemeinsam nach Kiew. Durch die ukrainische Hauptstadt fließt der Fluss Nipro. Es ist ein riesiger Strom, der drittgrößte in Europa, und dabei ist er kaum genutzt, in der Stadt meist nur schwer zugänglich. Statt aber auf den notwendigen politischen Willen von oben zu warten, hat sich die Initiative Can Actions daran gemacht, bottom-up für ein größeres Bewusstsein für den Fluss als wertvolle Ressource in der Stadt zu sorgen. In einem Nachgespräch möchte ich jetzt mit meiner Kollegin Julia Salomaikina noch einmal vertiefen, wie die Situation in Kiew ist und welche Projekte Can Actions bereits gestartet hat. Und im Anschluss sehen wir dann nochmal einen Ausschnitt aus der Live-Schaltung vom Plenum. Hi, Julia.
Hello.
Hi. Julia, you are from Kiev. Do you
Yes.
have a favorite spot somewhere at the river in Kiev?
Of course, I have a couple, but I would tell you about one of my favorite ones. It's called Revitalisierung Bridge. It is one of the first bridges in the world which was constructed with a cable-stayed technology with concrete reinforced beam, and in 60s. Last couple of years, I think 10, it is out of use, so people just go there and enjoy view on the river, and it is especially nice during the summer evening when you bring some drink there and friends and just enjoy your time there.
Wow, that sounds like a special place. Can you please give us some more impressions about and background informations about the Dnipro River and Kiev?
Of course, I prepared a presentation for you. Dnipro River is the heart of Kiev city, and being one of the largest rivers across Europe, the width of the river in several points of Kiev reached more than 1 kilometer. And through the years, city has grown over 2 river banks, and right bank accommodates historical part, a center of city, along with the most working opportunities. And on the left bank lives a great part of the population which need to commute each day at least twice to the opposite part of the city through the river to work. And through the years, Nipro faced a huge transformation. It used to be an actively utilized transport artery starting from 18th century with high velocity and water thresholds and variety of ups and downs. I mean, it was really obstacles for travelers. But river became more steady after the grand infrastructural project, a construction of hydroelectric station in 1960s. And in the recent time, Dnipro occurs to be one of the underestimated resources in Kiev. In the middle of river are located inhabited green islands. Many of the islands have preserved a great ecosystem with unique flora, and despite the close proximity to the metropolis. And some of the islands are accessible for the visit. And for example, Trukhanev Island, which is linked to the central part of the city through the pedestrian bridge. For a long time, it used for recreation and escapes to the nature. It's also one of the places I enjoy most in Kiev. And riverfront has range of uses and characteristics, but lack of access as well as visibility, it is a core issue for Dnipro River. And independent educational platform Connection constantly bringing this issue into the light through the different formats, from educational events and various workshops to the international competitions and festivals. And despite the fact that the issue of water in the city, I mean, it's only one of the focuses of Connections activity, but team of Connections has a particular interest in putting Nipro on the mental map of the citizens. They are sure that Dnipro – це наше все, which could be translated from Ukrainian as Dnipro is our everything. And the Dnipro is the heart of Kiev and Ukraine, and which is absolutely for a long time have been cheese to appreciate. And one of my personal experience of close and more conscious interaction with Dnipro with its post-industrial context happened just during one of the festivals. It was a spring of 2014 and a shore of the large post-industrial area Velichka, which you can see on the upper left image. I was totally unaware of the existing of direct access to the water there. And in following year, I mean, it was for me first time I ever experienced water in these post-industrial settings. And in following years, festival became an occasion for visitors to discover a river in the city and became more close to it, and also to exchange ideas what could be done for the future of river and development of the water in the system, in the city.
Ja, vielen Dank an Julia an dieser Stelle für die Einleitung und auch die persönlichen Eindrücke, die wir dadurch jetzt bekommen haben. Wie bereits angekündigt, wollen wir jetzt den Live-Beitrag vom Plenum 5, den wir am 7. Mai hatten, live nach Kiew, nochmal kurz anschauen.
Der Dnipro ist nach der Wolga und der Donau der drittgrößte Fluss Europas und er fließt durch Kiew. Und er ist, habe ich mir sagen lassen, stark unternutzt. Die Initiative von Connections versucht dabei schon seit vielen, vielen Jahren ein Bewusstsein und mehr Aufmerksamkeit für den Fluss in der Stadt zu schaffen. Connections, das ist eine Bildungsplattform und wir sprechen jetzt mit Valentina Sotova, der Geschäftsführerin von Connections.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's such an honor for me to be part of it. Basically, since 2008, we organize the International Architectural Festival, which called Connections. And each year it's dedicated to the specific topics, which are not only crucial for Ukraine, but also to the wider international context and challenges. As you might know, Kiev, situated on the Dnipro River, it's huge, it's fascinating, it's beautiful. But of course, during Soviet times and during Ukrainian independence years, there were some severe damages done to the river, to the ecology. The river banks are built with the autobahns, and there are very low access to the river right now. So in frame of the festival, in frame of our workshops and our events, we try to draw attention to the river. So in one of the formats that you can see right now at the video, it's called Architour. So the concept is pretty simple. There are two guides, there are two experts. One of them international, one of them might be local. So they take a big group of preliminary registered participants with headphones, headsets, and they lead them through the beautiful paths along the river. Or we also tried the boat format, and which worked also very good. So this format gives the possibility to the participants to see the city through the eyes of the experts and to maybe feel it under the different angle. And through this format, we try to tackle the very crucial, important issues of such an amazing resource that we have in Kiev right now, the river. So the location of the festival is also past several years is right in the old river port, which was not accessible to the public before. And for these festival days, we opened the access of people of Kiev and our guests from different cities and countries to the public. which some of people who live in Kiev for years, they never been there, never knew that such beautiful harbors and interesting landscapes are there. So kind of we're trying to tackle and to set the discourse among the professional crowd, professional audience. We try to draw attention of city authorities as well, who are kind of participating in our festivals or other formats, and try to set to launch maybe the some not really reconstruction, but some new policies in the decision making, some new policies for the new city programs in frame of the activities of Kiev administration, and of course the very strong, like to raise the very strong voices of the professional audience about this topic.
I was wondering, what role does architecture play in all this? How important is the architectural progress and issues in that question?
Well, it's an interesting question because in Ukrainian context, there is no such, there were not before of couple 1 or 2 years, there were no profession as urban planner. Yeah, we had, like, if you translate it to English, it's called city builders. So basically it was very post-Soviet format of the approach, very, you know, like everything should be growing. We should calculate how many roads we need for how many citizens. So it was very old-fashioned. And architects took this role and tried for past 10 years. They tried kind of to be those moderators or mediators between the good world practices, the best work practices, and the challenges that the city is facing. So thanking to very kind of initiative architects of Kiev, Ukraine, and maybe also with the influence of some our foreign network and foreign colleagues, we were able to influence and set the series of city changes, city programs that were the ideas that were born in the workshops at our festivals were taken to the account. And right now we have a set of interesting results, like building of the pedestrian bridge, like pedestrian streets along the river, in the districts along the rivers. And of course, the process is pretty slow, but, you know, of course we want it to be faster, but still small steps are already been taken. And we're also happy that even the business and development, private development, tries to be involved in the new, like take the new approaches into the account. And actually Yulia joined us, and she was coordinating one of the competitions about riverside in Kiev. And this project, I hope it would be realized, of course, maybe not in the whole not in the whole it was used to, like it had to be, but at least some steps are, this process is moving, you know, which is a positive sign.
Okay, yeah. And just to summarize it maybe a little bit, as I understood, in Kiev, you're still at the, like, sort of a beginning, you're still fighting for this awareness and accessibility to the river. So you haven't had a big project yet, but indeed you do have many international competitions also from architectural offices to get something done at the same time.
Yes, you're right. We were have organized several international architecture competitions on the territories that are Kiev Islands, and also like the riverbank, and also this pedestrian path along the river. And I think that the results and the international attention of the embassies or of the international professional audience, of course, it has its very positive results. And of course, like the competition practice is also appearing right now slowly in Kiev, which is very new and not kind of common. But I think this is a very good step towards some positive changes in the future.
Okay. Welcome, Julia. I'm so glad you made it to this conversation, and thank you for joining us.
What do you think is the role of Dnieper in city? Is it connects or divides? Because it's just in the middle of the city, and I mean,
Oh, if you ask me about this, of course it connects. It connects, and having such a huge territory of the waterfront and the green territory that we have in Kiev, it's definitely amazing resource. It could be infrastructural route as well, because in Soviet times, as you might know, there were amazing transportation connections. You can take a river taxi and go from one bank to another, or have a tour along the water. Right now, it's all almost dead. But I hear right now the talks from usually it's before the elections, they start talking about that, to kind of renew this infrastructural possibility for people to go from one bank to another, especially when the city is so crowded with traffic. Yeah, we have a very huge traffic problems right now. So it could be an amazing opportunity for people to get faster to other banks. Also, the accessibility to the river is only possible from the green islands and green parts of the city, which is, of course, the attraction point for people from left and from the right bank to come and join and to have fun and to rest and to party. I don't know, to educate themselves, to do anything together. So I think this is definitely, the river is definitely the collaboration or like meeting point for people from any district of the city.
yeah, but it's interesting thing that you mentioned that in the political agendas, the river is playing a huge role recently. I wanted to ask you to share this experience, Kiev experience, with us.
Oh, usually there are several political discourses around the river. First, and the biggest one, of course, is infrastructural objects like the couple of bridges that started to be built, I don't know, years ago. And this is kind of the issue of constant debates and promises of the mayor to finish it finally. But the project already ate so much funding from the city and from the donors, and it's still not finished, and some corruption scandals are involved as well. So kind of it became the this point of manipulation with the before the elections, which is sad from one side, but from the other side, I see the tendency that the kind of several institutions like Connections or the other NGOs or education institutions that draw attention to the best world practices. And right now I see in the discourse of the city administrations, and also, which is a good sign, from the developers, so they already started to sell, I would say, this river as a resource. So they already starting to talk about it as the valuable asset, for example, to have access to the river from the people who live in their accommodation, whatever complex, or to try to give back the green zones to the public and to have a free access to the river, which is amazing win for Kiev, definitely. But still, it's I think just the start of the long path of policy making, policy changing. Some maybe laws should be involved as well. I mean, restrictions for the privatization of the land on the shores. Yeah, so it's political, definitely.
I maybe have one final question. Okay. How it works. So if you wish to realize one project that can be done on the river, what would it be?
Oh yeah, I have a favorite one. In 2013, we were doing the competition, national competition, on the right bank of the river. And the winner project was the project of the guys architecture bureau from Colombia, Tyler 301, I guess.
One.
God, I remember. Yeah, 301. And they made this amazing proposition to cover the autobahn that goes right along all the right bank of the river with those green bridges. So the people from the right bank could walk through the park, through the green zone, and just go right to the river. It is actually, I think, in context of such a big city as Kiev, and with the interest of maybe donors and investors, it's not that expensive maybe to do. But it could bring the amazing results when people, when the road would be underneath and the people could walk and have access on above the autobahn. So I think it could be realized. Maybe the project is there. We know the context of the guys, so it's just the thing is only to pursue the mayor or whoever could realize that. So, but still, yeah, I think it's one of the first projects I would realize if I would have this power.
Thank you so much for sharing these impressions, and I wish you all the best.
Ein riesiger Strom, grüne Inseln und Naherholungspotenzial, aber man könnte fast den Eindruck gewinnen, dass sich in der Vergangenheit die Zugänglichkeit zu diesem Fluss fast ein bisschen erschwert hat. Der Nipro bietet nach wie vor ein großes Potenzial als Ressource in der Stadt genutzt zu werden. Die Initiative von Can Actions in Kiew zeigt uns dabei einen Ansatz, wie mit unterschiedlichen Formaten nach und nach der Blick für den Fluss als diese wichtige Ressource geschärft werden kann. Dazu nutzen sie internationale Netzwerke und Bildungsprogramme und am Ende kommt man an einem notwendigen politischen Willen aber doch nicht vorbei. Dennoch konnten hier die Aktionen von Can Actions bereits wichtige Impulse setzen und haben bei der Stadtverwaltung schon etwas ins Rollen gebracht. Wir können, denke ich, gespannt sein, wie sich der Umgang mit dem postindustriellen Erbe hier noch weiterentwickeln wird, was hier noch entstehen wird in Kiew. Anders als in den Beispielen unserer anderen Beiträge, die wir gesehen haben und gezeigt haben im Rahmen des Plenums, wie ganze Ufer und Promenaden neu gestaltet und zugänglich gemacht wurden, steht man in Kiew noch an einem ganz anderen Punkt, noch sehr viel weiter vorne. Es gibt noch keine große Promenadengestaltung oder Ähnliches, aber es hat sich bereits etwas in Bewegung gesetzt. Und wir werden sehen, wie sich die Dinge in Kiew weiterentwickeln und eben wie der Umgang mit Industrieflächen in Zukunft gestaltet wird, welche öffentlichen Räume daraus resultieren können. Ich bedanke mich ganz herzlich.